6. Liquid being here now, as dominant as they are, consistency doesn't seem to be as much of an issue at this present moment. Will that continue onwards? Well, our next look at it is going to be here on Oregon for map 2. The ban phase underway. Space Station starting on defense for Team Liquid's map.
Yeah, we see SSG taking out the Nomad. Liquid is very boring. They take out the Thatcher. I like SSG Spies here having a target pick for every single map, essentially, making sure that they can get the kind of gameplay that they want to see. Liquid taking their time with this defensive ban could be a number of things. Valkyrie is the easy one. It will be the Kite instead, matching the Thatcher ban, essentially, making sure that basement isn't too difficult to attack, because remember, Liquid is starting on the offense. So they want to ensure they can get up as many victories as possible before the side swap and get nice and cozy in their seat. Okay, SSG banning Warden. You know what that means, Parker? Hot and cold on the Ying or Bosco. They can both do.
Somebody. They're going to bring flashbangs. They're going to bring smokes. They're going to bring all the firepower in the world, coupled with the ability to confuse, disorient, blind, obscure, whatever you want to say. There are so many options here. You can bring a glass, you can bring a Ying.
Resets is showing the Ying as well, no way.
I mean, if you take Warden away from us, then we're just going to do the same thing to you. And we know that Space Station like playing Warden, so why not try? But it's a bait! No!
I was so excited. I was thinking, Reset's new player for his team, gonna play Ying here in the first round of Oregon. That is a massive W in my book. He just 6-picks the LMG Finka instead. That breaks my heart. I'm sure we'll see the Ying, though, at the very least, when the SSG goes on the offense. But for now, it's SSG on the defense of all things. Now, I want to see SSG getting active here. I want to see the same for Liquid, to be frank. So both teams kind of need to play the same similar fashion. But remember, Liquid on their attacks were really slow in Villa, waiting for you to make the first move. So SSG, they can kind of abuse that. You need to play a little bit slower. You need to play very much together. But also, you got to really pick the area you want to be on. We saw Hot and Cold a couple of times in Villa, roaming in basement, roaming on first floor. And each and every time he would get picked off by Paulo, who was on the Jackal. That, however, has changed. Paulo is now finding himself on that L85 on Sledge of all things. PSK following up with that global gadget of the Lion EE1D scanner. So, a different kind of approach for Liquid than the one they showed on Villa.
Well, let's get things underway with round number 1. Space Station on defense on Oregon. Once again, most maps coming in this event had the distinction of being defender-sided. It's not one of those circumstances where it's based on the meta, it's based on the operator bans, etc. You expect the defense to do well. That wasn't the case on Villa one bit. The attackers had an absolute ball, winning 2/3 of the rounds, and the most pivotal defensive victory came by Team Liquid in that final round to give them the win. We'll see if that holds true here on Oregon. If you're a fan of Team Liquid or a fan of the Brazilian squad at all, then you're going to hope that the same pattern on Villa carries over, with Liquid punishing SSG. I saw during the break that the description used on Twitter to describe the attacks from Liquid was clinical, and I think that's very apt. It's a Dorms defense to start things off for Space Station upstairs, and once again, that Warden ban could have caused some headaches for SSG, but Team Liquid going back with shades of the yellow meta, which is Finka and Lion brought together.
Bosco successfully impact tricked the 6 Hibana pellets from the wall. That means another 6 will have to come out from the side of Team Liquid. That's not going to do a bunch of damage. It's going to slow them down and limit how much breachability they will have to offer. And also keep in mind, there will be no attic pressure from the side of Team Liquid. It is a single heartbeat setup, no can openers, so Master Bedroom Breach is all they're going to get. They will need to most likely rotate a player to that big window or Kidstorm Repel, or maybe even down on White Stairs. They cannot all be inside of Master Bedroom.
Ness going for the common nade spot just in case somebody was sitting by the bunks, but there's nobody there. SSG playing a more sheltered style of defense, not quite as in your face as we tend to see from teams, playing that shrewd angle by the big window. Instead, they are bracing for the tidal wave of Liquid to crash against the shore. Resets will wait out the second EE1D, hoping that somebody will move a muscle from SSG, but nobody does that just yet. Still 3 Adrenal Surges in his pocket, if you want to call it that. A nade in hand as well. Palu with nades too, so there's destructive capabilities. Final EE1D will go, and Ask is inside of the bomb site. A very early plant. 40 seconds to go, and there doesn't seem to be any intel here, as Fultz can't hit a shot to save his life. Resets with 2 big kills as the diffuser gets planted. Ultimate coverage for Liquid. So far, so good. And they've headed for the hills, by the way. Space Station has no idea where they seem to be. Taking the engagements, that's a lucky one for Skies. Back up the stairs he goes, but cannot outduel Resets. It's a down. Nesk resets in Palu with the Adrenal Surge wearing off. Waiting patiently at the top of Armory Stairs, it's all on Rampy, juggling around the corner with an SMG in hand, but this is a tough one to do, being chunked away at as Resets looking to capitalize. He's dropped and downed by Rampy and MP5, but just like so many before him, and like SSG in the previous map, you cannot outduel Nesk when he's at peak performance. And round number 1 goes in favor of Liquid.
Rampy put on his dancing shoes in that 1v3, really sidestepping that doorway, trying to get wiggly with it. Ended up finding the kill, but did not find the run as there was 2 more remaining players from Team Liquid. If we take a look back at what happened at the tail end of that round, Team Liquid, they breached the wall. Yes, they rotated 1 player outside a big window. Amazing. Last player that wasn't the master bedroom side was white window, so they had all their grounds covered. And then what they did, they waited, seeing if anybody would walk into the lines of sight and getting a freebie. Nobody from SSG moved a muscle. So they just said, let's pop the line scan, the EE1D, then walk in and do a cheeky plant at what some American players call the bolo spot. It's that hot right corner from the trophy door, and it worked so well. But I will say, we rarely see recoil being an issue in Rainbow Six Siege, but Fultz with that Jaeger 416 definitely had a small case of problems when it came to the recoil, as he was whiffing a few bullets just a tiny amount above the head of the planter from Liquid, and ultimately that came back to bite him in the butt. Basement defense now for SSG, and we did see a 6-pick from PSK. It wasn't Resets to show it, but PSK now bringing out the Ying from the line, from one global gadget to not a global gadget for another one, but the Ying Candelas do affect a very large area.
We were excited to see a Ying on the previous round, and now we're actually going to see it come to fruition. And of course, the can opener, as you call it. And for all of you watching, if you'd like to take that up as a nickname, please do so. The can opener, of course, being that secondary gadget, which is the hard breach gadget in PSK's hands, is good enough to replace an ace or a thermite if all you're doing is taking care of the hatches on Oregon. As long as you don't have to deal with Kaid Electroclaws, which in this matchup they won't because he's banned, it allows you to get those 2 hatches inside of either main lobby or in meeting or even in security if you want, without having to risk anything and not having to dedicate a specific hard breacher to that.
Yeah, it's very good value, if you will, because you get the nades on the Maverick, he can take care of the walls, then you get PSK and the Ying, or a Flex Operator in this case, with the can opener, the secondary hard breach gadget, who can take care of the hatches. Combined, you get the absolute most value per operator, and value is what Nesk is all about, because he gets the opening kill into Bosco, that's leashing off the board, and 1 less roamer for Liquid to worry about.
Bosco had already been tagged from just a little bit of a fracas, a skirmish down below, and there's none of those goo mines to really have their effect. Nice shot from Hot and Cold, that MP5 hitting onto PSK, and the Ying is down for the count. Keep that in mind. No more ability to blind out your opponents. This will be absent. It also means that those 2 can openers are gone, but guess what's happening? Half of the round in, and Liquid is inside of the bomb site, reading into Space Station. Their every move being watched, and again, clinical being the word, almost flawless. If it wasn't for PSK getting killed earlier on, Liquid would have had nobody in the grave. 2-0, and again, continuing the trend with what we saw on Villa. Liquid are so good on these attacks.
Don't you hate when you're roaming, like Hot and Cold, and all of a sudden your players inside scream, there's a guy inside! Oh, he falls, second guy falls, and the last player standing is Hot and Cold, who previously was on the top floor of the map, had to run all the way back, and now has to retake the bomb site essentially. I hate that, at least. There's no worse feeling. That's why I'm an Anger player, because I can either A, successfully defend the bomb site and thus not die, or B, I won't be in that frustrating situation where, well, the roamer's the last guy alive and I was the one who fell. So if anything, we're vibing. Being an Anger player is no easy quick task either. You gotta ensure that both freezer, main stairs, and of course the big tower stairs is covered. So that's kind of where you depend on your teammates, that when they die or when they can, you hop on a camera or maybe even do it yourself and try and figure out where is the enemies coming from. And it didn't seem like SSG had that figured out in the previous round. Remember, Valkyrie is available to be played on these rounds. It's the Warden, it's the Kaid that is spanned on the defensive side, which means information is available, but it hasn't been picked up just yet. Right now we're getting some shields from Volt, picking up the Goyo. That's going to help SSG make fortified positions, and with the Wamai but no Jaeger, that'll be the only way they can protect them.
Back upstairs to dorms, SSG is going to go. Once again, Space Station did not take a timeout in that very first map. I would like to repeat that, despite the fact that SSG lost 8-6. They did not settle themselves down and allow Lycan to interject, or if he didn't want to step in, at least let the rest of the team talk to each other. At what point in this matchup do we potentially see a timeout get taken? Will SSG use it? Because it's not like the timeouts cost you anything.
No, it's free.
It's absolutely free for you to do it. So because of the fact that they are not taking a timeout, they are trailing when it comes to the ability to settle yourselves down. Fun fact, the score line was 5-3 for Space Station when Liquid took their timeout. Liquid then lost a single round from that point forward. So it just goes to show you that righting the ship is very doable. It's a run out from Rampy, by the way. He downs Ask, but Nesk is the one credited with the kill. The Hibana will be retrievable as Nesk now pivots. He's 4-0 to start off this match through 3 rounds. Not as impressive as the previous round. He's got quite a bit to go to get there, but Nesk was a slow starter on map 1. Not the case here.
That would have been such an important kill for Rampy as well. He's going to feel quite bad about that. And honestly, Rampy, if you can hear me right now, don't feel too down about this. You still got many more rounds to go. You still got the attack inside as well. So this one kill you failed to get doesn't matter too much. And Hot and Cold says, I got you there, buddy. You couldn't do it. I will instead. That's resets off the board, the Maverick gone, and also the nades that goes with it. And with Ask being 20 health from that revive, Liquid, they're not looking so healthy.
Oh, he's got to get something going, as does the rest of the team. SSG spread out quite effectively, not in the middle of the bomb site. Like before, Space Station do not want to play very aggressively. They're giving lots of ground to Team Liquid, and that might be their undoing, frankly. You typically don't want to give Liquid the ability to punish you in that way, but we'll see. Liquid read into it last time and got in to plant the diffuser quite quickly. This is about the time that Ask broke in to get the diffuser down. Space Station have at least kept them at bay, and Liquid have some stumbling blocks to overcome to get in. But oh my, never mind, I guess! Palu with 3 big kills. Palucifer, the devil there himself, leaving Skies to possibly perish. Shield breaking in front of his eyes, and he's got to be thinking to himself, what the hell am I gonna do now? Is there somebody by a big window? Am I turning my backside to where the diffuser is being planted? He sees a device explode at the top of white stairs, so at least one is in that direction. He'll swing onto it and lose to Nesk. 2 kills for Nesk, 3 for Palu. That's a full house. Liquid up 3-0 and seemingly unstoppable.
Damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you give Liquid space, they will take it and abuse it. But if you try and roam like SSG tried previously on Villa, you also find yourself being shut down. In this particular instance, Liquid didn't do much for almost a full minute. SSG, they were waiting and they were ready, but the exact right moment, Paolo jumps through the satellite window and finds 3 kills, which completely just destroys the round from SSG. And now that you're down 3-0, the 6-pick finally comes through. Valkyrie's on the board. SSG will have more information to work with to figure out where exactly Liquid are and where they're stalling and what they want to achieve. They're also going to the tertiary bomb site of Kitchen Dining. So they're clearly desperate to try and get something working as they haven't found a round just yet. Still holding on to the timeout. I think this round on 3-0, or if you lose this round and go 4-0, would be the prime opportunity to take it, try and get a few rounds back before the swap, and then just really rely on your attacks, which I think SSG will be great on, but you cannot go on a 6-0 streak. Then you have no room for mistakes once you swap.
Oh well. SSG certainly seem like they're in free fall and there's no parachute at the moment. That's slowing it down one bit. SSG's last round victory came in round 11 on Villa. That was almost half an hour ago, by the way. If you're keeping track at home, it's been quite a while, and visible frustration on the Space Station team will continue to grow, especially knowing how that first map was so critical in this series. We could be looking at maybe just an attacker-sided matchup in general. Hopefully these Valkyrie cameras keep it close, because I don't really care whether Liquid or Space Station wins. Nick, I don't know if you have a preference, but for me, I just want a close matchup. That first map was quite close, Villa, but Oregon, not shaping up to be. Valkyrie cameras thrown out outside, first EE1D is burned, nobody from Space Station caught out, and no action besides that.
Yeah, I mean, some spectators will be fans of SSG, and then some spectators will be fans of Team Liquid, but we are all fans of Rainbow Six Siege, and I would argue that most people would be perfectly okay with a banger game, more than one team specifically winning. Hot and Cold got cheeky with a jump out, that's the Valkyrie cams doing their work. Nothing really happened, a few bullets exchanged, both people taking damage, but that's pretty much about it.
And it was almost Ask who got taken down again.
Yeah.
In the previous round, a jump out happened and Ask got down, we got picked back up. Liquid still goes on to win the round. This time, nothing really ventured, nothing really gained. Both Hot and Cold and Ask lose the same amount of HP. Half point of this round, and explosions happening all around Space Station. Grenades going in aplenty, but nobody from SSG has been found and punished for it, except for Bosco. As I say that, the caster curse is very real. The roaming Jaeger and Bosco having a poor performance in map number 1, it is carried over now to map 2, as he'll be in the grave. 0-4 here on Oregon. More damage being done from Liquid, this time onto Fultz. Hot and Cold dealing, unfortunately, getting more damage done to him as Liquid just continue to dole out the punishment.
Yeah, now SSG, they have all evacuated that top floor, that second floor level. So that means that now they can just rain terror from above with that verticality. Powder doing really good work so far. Skies is hiding inside of small tower, but besides that, there really isn't any map control from SSG. They're going to be falling by the numbers here because Fultz is so low on health rather, and so is Hot and Cold. Liquid really have their work cut out for them this round.
They're going to have to stop this potential aggression at the bottom of the stairs. 35 seconds to go, and you have to move on over to that bottom floor bomb site, or rather, middle floor bomb site. I almost got caught up in the basement argument that you and I had spoken about. Hot and Cold through the wall, tries to track, but Palu finishes off what little is left, and now another one lined up very easily. Fultz walks into that. Rampy in a 1v4 with the diffuser planted by Ask. The post-plant for Rampy is dire. Hopeless, one would even say. He watches through all those kill holes made by the sledge as they've reversed their positions, but the only quick way back to the bomb site is through the dropped hatch. He sees Palu and glad that SSG are taking their time out in hopes of getting this team on the right page. I don't know what's going on. From the looks of the camera, by the way, it doesn't really seem like SSG are speaking all that much. Now, this just might be us missing it when it does flick to them, either actively in the round or afterwards when they're doing a post-mortem on every single round. But if Space Station are not communicating, they're losing, and that's really what it comes down to with Rainbow Six. If you're not talking to your teammates, making callouts, and helping each other with intel, you will lose. Liquid is a very vocal team. SSG tend to be as well. But when frustrations end up happening, when tempers run high, it is common for teams to go quiet. Your likelihood of winning drops significantly the less you talk to your teammates. Hopefully this kickstarts something with SSG, because we've got a bit of a stinker on our hands for you SSG fans, as it's 4-0 for Team Liquid.
No, you're absolutely right, and both, as you said, like both teams are quite emotional as well. And when you're riding the high, everything's great. But when you're riding the low, it's important to have somebody to be able to step up and be like, guys, hey, we got this. Come on, whoa, yeah, let's go. Okay, we lost the round, but that's fine. Hey, you get a kill, you get a kill. We all get a kill. Having that yes man, or the happy guy, or a clown, if you will, whatever term you want to use, can be extremely valuable when you're finding yourself on the losing side of these matchups. Right now, that's SSG as Liquid are storming through Oregon so far. I like what SSG is doing this round. They're getting active. They're roaming, extending into the injury points from Team Liquid, killing one drone, falling back a little bit, probably gonna look for a second, and slowing down Liquid is a very good tool to use because Liquid by nature in themselves are quite slow. So slow plus slow does not equals positive fast in this case. That means giga slow. Oh,
slow.
but Paulo is not slow at all. He's so quick, finds the head of Rampy, and that must be so frustrating of a way to go out after a timeout.
Oh, Rampy. The thing is that when Rampy gets frustrated, his stats tend to suffer very quickly. Rampy tries to overcompensate. He gets very emotional. He's talked about this in countless interviews. The two top fraggers at the end of Villa were Rampy and Fultz. They currently combined for 1 kill. They combined for just a single kill on round number 5. Rampy is certainly not going to be helping that stat at all because he's gone. It's really a bad spot to be in for Space Station. They are losing their direct engagements. They are getting outfoxed when it comes to strategy. They're in a rough spot, and I don't know what they're going to be able to do to fix it.
They're going to need to get at least 1 round soon, just try and turn the tide around. And I mean, in an ideal situation, if SSG can steal a round from Liquid, you know, a round that should be theirs, but they say, ha, we take it back, you don't get this one. Try and play the mental a little bit, shift into their favor. That would be the absolute best case scenario, but Liquid, they're playing such stable Rainbow Six Siege. Look at them, they got the opening kill, and now they're just slowing down, rotating together. They don't want to make any mistakes or create any openings that could favor their opponents. It's really, really well done.
Focus for Liquid at the moment with 45 seconds left is on blue, but they're well spread out. Ask will be the one to charge on in. No reinforcements to be found, so he doesn't need to tear through that. That might be a bit of an oddity. And they will worry, if they haven't droned it out, as to what could lay on the other side of that wall. Instead, Resets takes the fight and he wins. Again, Space Station just cannot do much with these gunfights. A mirror window stopping them from advancing, but Palu will innate it out. Right there, drop down. Not enough damage being done to Skies. Fultz has fallen, so is Hot and Cold. SSG's numbers continue to dwindle. They'll retake from the back, but Bosco gets softened up and a flawless round will happen unless Skies can get one. He will. On to Palu. Diffuser going down. Ask had stopped for a second. Sky snapping through. 2 kills, 3 kills. Skyry going for more than that. But the timer will now work against him. 40 seconds. Sky's pausing for a moment. Take a deep breath. Still sitting on top of the diffuser is Ask. I don't know if Skies is prepared for this. Tracers go over and he at least knows someone is in the vicinity. There's backup for Liquid on the PSK. Instead, Skies will aim. He knows they're exactly there, but luck runs out after 3 kills. A valiant effort from Skies falls just short. Liquid continue their streak of dominance. They're up 5-0.
I spoke about stealing a round would heavily favor SSG's mental. Imagine for a moment that Skies had clutched out that round. If he had had a C4 in his hand in that 1v2 to deny the plant, that would have set him up for success. But that C4 was used earlier in the round. It wasn't available at his disposals. Nice shot on the first 2 players, but couldn't finish it through. And SSG, they played a tight ship in those 1v2s. Liquid, however, they were kind of running around and it made me scared. It made me nervous for a moment because if you're Liquid, sure, you're up 4-0, but you don't want to lose the rounds that you already won by throwing it, by misplaying those 1v2 or 1vx situations. They closed it out, they got the round, and SSG are still looking to try and get some sort of way inside of Oregon. We still have Fultz and Bosco not really finding their first kill yet. Once they do, we'll have a real 5v5, but as I say that, I look at PSK, he's also joining them down the bottom. It's actually a 3v4 in terms of scoreboard, but remember, just because you haven't gotten a kill does not mean you haven't had impact and value to your team. You still got the gadget. Fultz, for example, right now, playing the mute, has the shotgun, will be opening up the floor, making rotation flows, etc. So you'll always be having value for your team in these situations.
Final stead for SSG here on defense. Drones going unseen, so that's some information for Liquid already, as it was down inside of what appeared to be kitchen, but hard to tell from that perspective as to where it was going to go. Liquid firing on all cylinders right now. Palu and Nesk accounting for 15 kills. That goes up to 23 if you add resets. Ask had a standout performance on the previous map. Resets faded into the background. This time, it's Resets leading the charge. He and Palu are tied for most kills on their team. Yeah. I don't want to bring up Fultz and Rampy yet again, but 1 kill between them both is just simply not good enough for this level of play.
Yeah, and actually resets, not just having good impact in terms of pure fracking power going 8 and 3, but half the opening kills, I would say, has basically been from him. And then, of course, splitting the rest between Paolo and Nesk, the aggression that they bring. PSK right now, he's just the EE1D scanner. He's doing drone work, gadgetry and whatnot, and that's all Liquid needs.
The first opening pick of this map for SSG finally happens. Fultz breaks his 0-kill streak, gets himself on the board, and of all the players to take down, one of the highest trophies that you can get, Nesk is the one that he ends up finding. SSG also had 2 players inside a back tower. I'm not sure if you saw that, but if Liquid have not droned out the top of the tower, they don't know that Rampy is there. They might think they have Bosco trapped, but it's a bait. Hot and Cold gets dropped, so SSG's lead will continue to grow. And now it's resets on the hunt, finds Fultz, down he goes. A grenade here as well with the Lion E1D to go, and Skies moves at the last second. Smart play from him. I don't know if he heard the pin get pulled or there was just a premonition there. But that 6th sense helps him out and allows him to get away quite safely. 1 minute and 15 seconds left in the round is flown by. You're holding your breath if you're an SSG fan. I know you are, because Team Liquid can go to match point, series point, if they turn out a successful round.
Yeah, very lucky, quote-unquote lucky, that Skies got away from that grenade. That would have been a huge kill for Liquid, shutting down the toxic canisters, and of course, the strong position of Kid Storm that Skies is defending, ensuring that nobody from Liquid can jump in that big window without him having a say in that with a gunfight. Paolo working his way up the white stairs, now having a gunfight while we see resets on this rappel. Liquid, they're just trying to fish for a kill. They know they're outnumbered right now.
Palu not just taking damage on white stairs, but also being blocked off in terms of access and line of sight with that toxic canister. PSK tussling, but re-engaging with the shotgun. Skies wins that one. The numbers for Team Liquid will now dwindle even more. Space Station holding that upper hand, looking for their very first round. They called a timeout and it didn't really work, but they're hoping to salvage something. Bosco, a bit of a sloppy endeavor against resets, but he walks away with it quite well. Palu sees the nitro cell go off in front of him. He's dropped the diffuser, and I think he'll throw up his hands and realize that this round is a losing effort. Finally, the brakes on the train of Liquid seem to be engaged ever so slightly as Space Station makes their mark at the final second and get onto the board. The first half in the books, Liquid emerges with a massive lead, 5-1.
You know, I'm a bit curious. You see that 1 versus 4, Paolo's like 1 health, etc., bottom of white stairs. Basically, nobody from SSG dared run towards him. They didn't care about that kill, and that might ask the question, are SSG a little bit scared or just overly disciplined right there? I don't see why you could just run at Paolo, be like, haha, I'm gonna try and get the kill, etc. It's not like your KD matters anyway, but I guess that's a little bit besides the point. We do have a side swap. This is exactly where we expect SSG to be popping off. We know how great they are in Oregon attacks. We know how pro-efficient they are at using the Ying, especially for basement bomb side. And guess what? The first defense from Team Liquid is in the basement. Guess what as well? SSG, they banned the Warden. So of course, Liquid should 100% see this coming, which means Liquid should have a clear way to play around this Ying pick, and I don't think the mirror is the way. Remember, the black mirror, it works the same way as regular eyeballs do through that window. You still get flashbanged if you're standing behind it and looking through it, which means the Ying doesn't care about them. I don't see right now exactly what Hot and Cold has picked, but I see top right of my screen that there are 2 smoke grenades on the board, presumably from Hot and Cold. So all eyes on Hodden. If he can break the entry and get SSG into the bomb site and give them a way in, that is how they're going to win the rounds. For Liquid, on the other hand, extending out and roaming aggressively, trying to get a kill somewhere will be huge for them.
Liquid have controlled the pace of most of this matchup. The only time I would say they didn't were the first 3, 4, 5 rounds of Villa. Even when SSG was winning a number of those rounds, I still think Liquid had the tempo or matched the tempo. If they can try to do that on defense, which is significantly harder to do, by the way, if you can still accomplish that on defense and allow yourself to be the one that is correctly pacing the match for you and the rest of your team, then it pays dividends more often than not. Space Station could run headfirst into a brick wall on defense if Liquid roam aggressively, especially if SSG aren't talking to each other, especially if SSG are rattled or tilted. Then their drone work and their coordination with one another might not be as good as you expect it to be. They've made it inside of the building, though, as it's a laundry and supply room defense for Liquid down on the bottom floor, and immediately a grenade gets chucked out by Rampy. He's only got access to 2 of them, one of them is already gone, and it heads to the back tower stairs. 1 minute off of the clock, SSG still very much in the discovery phase, while they're also getting the hatches to try then and shift their focus to the bomb site below.
That they are indeed, and we didn't see Liquid really extending out that aggressively. They have only managed to kill a single drone from the side of SSG, and honestly, Liquid, that is not quite good enough. You know the Ying is coming, and there's nothing you can do about it. You have great aimers, you have incredible aim, but if you cannot see, you cannot shoot straight either. So, early aggression, that's where my money's at. You haven't shown it this round, and I hope it punishes you, and that you will learn from it going forward. SSG going for a backside take, 2 guys outside of blue, 1 person on that back tower stairs, and then you have Skies on that meeting hatch. But remember, all eyes on hot and cold. That's the gadget that will break the round, but of course, the gunplay has to follow it up from all members of SSG.
They know exactly where they lay inside of the bomb site. As that first Zofia stun goes out, it'll hit PSK, connecting quite well. He's drone 2, now flashed out. PSK's in a tough spot. You know that the guns on SSG are often fully capable of doing damage, and they'll do just that. PSK the very first target. Ask pushing up on his own smoke, but he's being watched by Bosco, and I don't think he's aware of that. First round of Candela's going. There'll be a blinding effect. More to come, surely. Hot and Cold's actually used all of them already, so they haven't happened in the cut and thrust, but the nade goes in and it's cleared the way. Rampy and Hot and Cold credited with all these kills. And how about a statement round from Space Station? Rampy's very happy about that. A flawless start to the second half for SSG.
That's gonna do wonders for the mental game of SSG. Liquid, not entirely sure about that basement first side pick, and not really sure about staying on the bomb site itself. You gotta get out there and get active, but we saw what happened, and now they will actually go back to basement once again with a similar lineup. So surely they have read the situation and they think, oh, we did something wrong, now let's fix it. Exact same lineup coming out from SSG. They don't even 6-pick the Ying, because honestly at this point, Liquid knows it's coming, and SSG can keep showing that, and then 6-pick other operators, which is what Force is doing right now, going from the 150 LMG of Zofia onto the Flores. That's gonna help them again clear utility and take certain ground. So once again, SSG targeting the bomb site. Liquid gotta do something about that, otherwise history might just repeat itself. But the great thing about being up so many rounds when you're Team Liquid is that it doesn't really matter if you lose 1 or 2. You have so many more to go, and all you need is just 2 rounds to go in your favor, and that's that.
I mean, the other thing to keep in mind is Liquid also has access to a timeout. So if they need to, SSG already used theirs earlier on at the tail end of round 4. Liquid have access to one. They can call it whenever they want. Silence is standing behind them. At any point, he can start talking to them as well. And you cannot take away how impactful a timeout can be when things start to go sideways. For Liquid, it was incredibly successful in the previous map. And for SSG, they took a timeout, immediately dropped the next round. But since then, 2 rounds to their name. It's also possible the timeout was taken with the foresight of a side swap. Maybe their focus wasn't even on that first half, and instead, they wanted to try and sharpen their knives for attack. It worked out for Space Station. Like we said, a flawless first round on this half, but a lead from Team Liquid that is not entirely insurmountable, but will require more of that from Space Station.
No, I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, the Warden ban specifically speaks to the nature of SSG's attacks, but I also think they hoped, or at least predicted, that they would get more ground on their defensive side, but SSG, they have the skill to get through all the way with each and every single attack here. But again, sometimes you are just unfortunate. Sometimes you are just unlucky. And last round, SSG, every single decision they made rewarded them. There was no mistakes or clear punishable mistakes made from them, and that resulted in a flawless round. Liquid, it doesn't look like they've changed much from the previous time around, except for the fact that PSK is roaming up in tier 3, basically being an annoyance factor to SSG, because if they want to go for a backside, they have to fear the flank. This is going to give SSG the question, are we going to clear out PSK up in tier 3, or are we going to leave him there and just hope that he doesn't come for us and with the flank? Oh, hot and cold, actually. Gadget comes
He's
out.
just going in.
That's a great way to do it.
And
hot
it
cold
works.
is the gunfight, yeah, it's easy.
Perfectly. Hot and cold had Rampy down below to assist too. Those dual LMGs on both Ying and Finka working out so well. Rampy wasn't really needed, but PSK was upstairs at Deadman, and he's still been unable to get a single kill, by the way. Through these 8 rounds of action, PSK finds that even one eludes him. Not that it really matters all that much, because Liquid are still clobbering when it comes to just the scoreboard. Strategically, SSG looking more sound on their attacks than on defense. Nitro Cell goes off, nearly claiming hot and cold. Rampy hits the adrenal surge after taking down Ask. The lead for SSG in terms of numbers grows. Bosco baits out a smoke and then gets out of there. Resets on the hunt, pushing up. Will try to do what he can with the head, but cannot connect. He'll still play off with the deployable shield. Rampy taken out by the Vector with Palu in hand. More Candelas going off. Hot and cold firmly in the middle of the bomb site. Rushing up, but they don't know that Palu's still playing on the same angle. He drops him. Resets down on elbow. Playing through that soft wall, Palu will search for another kill. Nesk and Palu, the last 2 up. You can never count them out. These two tend to work wonders when working side by side. But there goes Nesk on a nice shot from Bosco. Palu searching for one on the Bosco. Gets it! Stops him! But Fultz saves the round. Remarkable stuff from Space Station. Were it not for Fultz, that's it for Liquid, and they go to match point. But instead, Space Station find their 3rd in a row.
That was in the absolute last second of the round as well, because there was nobody left planting. Everybody was taken out besides Foles, but he took out the last player from Liquid instead, and thus SSG, they somehow get the round. I will say, hot and cold with the Candelas, taking out PSK in that tier 3 of Big Tower. That was a round-defining moment. PSK was going to make so much trouble from SSG. It was a huge problem, and it looked like they weren't going to deal with it, but little do you know, it was Matthew himself, hot and cold, on that rappel, threw one single Candela in the window and rappelled in. It was an absolutely free kill. And now Liquid says, we tried basement twice, it did not work for us. We're gonna go up above on Kid Storms. And now we're almost seeing what SSG was doing in defense now reflected onto Liquid. Because if they lose this one, where do they go next? Are they gonna go tertiary? Are they gonna say, oh, back to basement? Oh, maybe try Kid Storms one more time? Either way, it can be so frustrating when nothing is working on your defense, and that is what's happening for Liquid right now. They're even bringing out the Echo. Much like SSG, when they were on defense playing Valkyrie, they want more information. They want to be able to make these decisions knowingly about what's happening and what's going on. Meanwhile, SSG, they bring 2 Heartbreachers, right? They got the Maverick and they got the Hibana, which means they can both breach the attic wall and they can breach the master wall. And they can choose and pick where they want to attack from. And as long as Hot and Cold's alive on the Ying, it will be quite easy to get inside the bomb site.
Oh. 3 rounds in a row for Space Station, as was said. One flawlessly. Liquid fought back, and I think played that quite well, but they didn't have much support up top. The Warden ban from Space Station being shown exactly why they wanted to do it. That is the Ying being brought religiously. I'm not much of a praying man, but if you're a fan of Space Station, and you're praying that Ying continues to pay dividends. Whether it's Bosco playing it, whether it's Hot and Cold playing it, it doesn't matter. Space Station bringing Ying on Oregon. Well, it goes together just like peanut butter and jam. Bosco taking some damage as he enters the top of tower now. 1 minute of action. Still in the discovery section, exploration section of this map, where you want to try and find where the defenders are playing. 2 attempts at laundry have failed for Team Liquid, so they will scoot on over to that Dorms bomb site. Palu surviving, and he gets droned out. 2 drones, in fact, to his name, and he will retreat through the catacombs underneath Oregon, trying to get back to that staircase and head up to the bomb site. All the while, Space Station's attention is over by Small Tower as 2 of their players sit in Dining Hall. While drone work is being done by Skies, Fultz has the Rotero drones at his disposal, still all 4 of them, and they will likely go for whichever destructible gadgets he can find. In this case, there's Goyo shields, and there's Banshees scattered throughout the bomb site that he needs to take care of.
There's actually 3 players inside of Liquid roaming earlier in the round. Now just back to Paolo as 2 more players has gone back to bomb site, which makes sense because SSG are knocking on the walls, they're knocking on the doors, and honestly, right now, it's it's going quite well. Liquid, they've managed to kill 6 drones from SSG, only 4 remaining. So that means either the flanks will be open or they will have limited information once they get to the bomb site. Hot and cold on this attic window. That could be the engagement, but that's going to be a bait because majority of SSG, they're not there with him. They're going to be big window and wide stairs with the exception of Bosco holding down the flank in big tower.
Rampy has a nade ready, but he gets swung on while he throws it out. Candela's going off too. Bosco hunting shadows on the back of tower stairs. One for Skies, he leads things off, swiftly answered by PSK. One for Rampy as well, as SSG continue to go. 20 seconds left. Skies at the halfway point with the round, as he's got the diffuser down. PSK drops, but a literal drop from Foltz right into the waiting arms of Palu will leave Nesk upstairs all by his lonesome. 3 players from SSG watching this diffuser. Nesk gets one, Palu as well. It leaves Bosco in a clutch situation. He's still got the adrenal surge wearing off. Other than that, the diffuser is not too far away. Hiding at this angle. He's got a hard wall. He'll get swung by 2 players that both have low HP, but Nesk is on the ground. The Rat plays with the shotgun in hand. It breaks the streak of Space Station, and Team Liquid move to series point.
That was a nicely played 1 versus 2 for a brief moment. I thought, oh, Liquid, they're gonna peek single-handedly, but then they took like 2 seconds, made sure that they could rotate inside of Kid Storm, with the last player being on that attic door, battle swing, and they basically get a 1 versus 2 in the moment. And the only way SSG wins that round was with a nice 180-degree flick from Bosco, and that is such a hard thing to do. Well played by Nesk, well played by Paolo. It's the duo to do it all, and now match and series point for Liquid. They have gotten a dub upstairs on Kid Storm defense, and now they're gonna go back downstairs. I will say, the number 1 takeaway for the success difference is arguably in the early round. They killed 6 drones in the first minute and a half on the attack and roam game. That's not something they managed to do in the previous 2 defenses in the basement. So again, being active is the key word of this match. You want to make sure you slow your opponents down, deny information, and if possible, try and get a kill or some damage, because if you just sit in the bomb site, then the attackers will get exactly what they want. The map, they will get the time, and they will get the resources to do whatever they want, and that is when it's a bad time to be a defender. SSG, now the pressure is on you. The eyes are on you. You now need to go out and just take this win into your own hands. There is no more time and no more room for mistakes. This is it.
All right. Well, I'd like to remind you that there is another matchup going on the other stream for those that have not been paying attention. I feel it's important to do that.
Yes.
It's Cyclops versus Rogue. I'm not going to update you as to what the score is because, well, I actually don't know what it is right now.
Okay.
But if you want to go over there for the remainder of the day, twitch.tv/Rainbow6, bravo.
Bravo.
I need to say bravo at the end because I failed before that. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Whether that Rogue Cyclops match is still going or is over, there's still going to be one more match over there. Same with here. Anyway, if you're just tuning in, Team Liquid are up 6-3, and they are about 2 minutes and 20 seconds away from potentially putting this series into the dustbin. SSG had a close matchup on Villa, but Oregon has been quite one-sided, and despite a nice comeback from SSG brewing, it only ended up amounting to 3 rounds. Still time for SSG to do the unthinkable and push us to overtime, but with the way Liquid's been playing, it seems unlikely. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. There's a round to play.
Yeah, but then again, Liquid, there's just all 5 players on site. They're not being efficient at all. They're just waiting for SSG to march down into the bomb site. Sure, PSK rotating those Jaeger ADSs, trying to guess where the push is coming from, but to be completely honest, I can see the top-down view, and I don't even know where the execute's coming from. So the best that they can do is guess, and guessing is not good enough when it comes to playing against SSG.
No. Split pushes tend to happen quite often on this bottom floor bomb site, Nick, whether you want to go through blue, whether you want to go through freezer, back tower to pillar, front, through laundry. Laundry actually seems to be neglected by both of these teams. The favored son, when it comes to executes, are on pillars and on freezer. And with more of that freezer wall being opened up, SSG know that they're cutting off rotates from Liquid. They can't play with that same level of impunity from the rotate to the washing machines because you're going to be watched from somebody inside a freezer.
Oh my god, look at all these drones. That's what happens when you don't kill any. There's so many left. There's 8 left from SSG. They know exactly what the bomb site looks like. They're just gonna analyze and then execute.
Palu has a drone actually right next to him, just on the other side of that soft wall. We saw the silhouette. They don't know that. And there's more drones being done, but some have been shot away. You talked about it. These drones being unsheathed by SSG and thrown with maybe some reckless abandon into the bomb site. Palu's expecting a push from the bottom of Laundry Stairs. 30 seconds to go. First Candela, it gets grabbed by the magnet. Another Candela gets tossed. Hot and Cold has one more to go. It gets tossed out as well. Smokes go. C4 from Palu does not connect. Sky sprinting into the bomb site. Rampy greeted with Ask. The smokes are there, but Palu is doing a significant amount of damage. Sky's with the kill immediately onto the diffuser. Nesk will try to stop the rest of the team. Can't do it through the soft wall, so it's on the resets to take down Hot and Cold. Diffuser planted in its maximum chaos inside of the bomb site. PSK, a nice shot on the Bosco. 1 HP for Fultz. So Sky's also very, very low. Everybody is low except for resets. Flores sitting far back. Watching the side of Skies, a nice kill on the PSK, but it's all on the shoulders of Fultz to clutch the round and keep his team in it, to keep his team alive. Liquid can sit on the diffuser, that's what they'll do. Skies, or Fultz rotating. Resets at the halfway mark.
Where are you,
Fultz drops. You need to get to it, but Ness greets him, seals the deal. Liquid win the matchup just like that. Villa was close, Oregon not so, and Liquid do what FaZe couldn't. Topple SSG, and Liquid remain undefeated.
I will say, Force, what a ballsy play to choose to go for the full rotation from free